Why is there no picture of Nicola Murray in this video? I did find a picture of her on the internet and she appears to be trans. I'm sure there are a lot of interlopers and fakers in the anti-trans, or rather pro-sanity movement. I wouldn't be shocked if, in the end, we find out J.K. Rowling is trans. End quote. Except, you know, she's in the thumbnail of the video and has been since it was published on the 14th of May, 2025. So, maybe use your eyes? How about that? As for her being a trans woman, way to show that you didn't watch the video you're pretending you did, since, spoiler, her being pregnant was vital to multiple established facts in her court case. But of course, you lied, as you lot always do, and we'll get more into that in a minute. Just a heads up, we will be talking about a number of heavy topics, including transmisia, ableism, anti-Semitism, Nazi fascism, miscarriages, and child sexual abuse. If our work has helped you, please consider supporting us via Patreon so we can keep the channel running. You can also help us by liking, commenting, and sharing our work on social media. Hi there, my name's Ethel Thurston, she, her, they, them, and today we're trying something new. I get a lot of bigoted and abusive comments coming through the channel, things which really show just how depraved and detached from reality anti-trans bigots really are. And whilst we don't allow such horrific comments through because of how they poison the safe environment we work so hard to maintain here on this channel, sometimes you just really need to nail a bastard to the wall. And hey, we might as well get something whilst doing so. Enter these videos. But returning to the opening comment by Ollie here, which was posted to our video Anti-Trans Leader Convicted of Child Abuse regarding Nicola Murray, I haven't seen this level of no true Scotsmanning since my days tackling Christian zealots on the secularism front. It seems that gender-critical fascists are so overwhelmed by just how many of their leaders are open predators that they're hell-bent on forwarding the tinfoil conspiracy that they must all be trans. What makes this accusation especially horrific, though, is not merely the fact that said child-raping monster was openly promoted by the largest anti-trans movements in the UK, including For Women Scotland, Fair Play for Women, and Let Women Speak, but the fact that one of the ways Murray trapped her 4 child victims as she raped and abused them for 2 whole decades was by telling them that their resistance was the reason she had had a miscarriage. Because yes, Murray had had a miscarriage at one point, specifically as a result of being abused by a cis man. This led her to found Brodie's Trust in 2021 with the stated goal of helping victims of intimate partner violence who had suffered such a miscarriage or forced abortion. Yet in spite of said noble goal, all Brodie's Trust actually amounted to was a way for Murray to siphon away money, because spoiler, it wasn't a registered charity or trust, and trap her child victims in a position where they felt like they couldn't report what she was doing to them. She also used it to bolster herself, which is how she became a key gender-critical witness in their anti-trans Supreme Court case in 2025. But it gets even worse, seeing as Nicola Murray branded one of her child victims a quote-unquote tranny after said child styled their hair to look like Pink, the singer. So Murray did the exact same thing that Ollie is doing in their comment as a means of disempowering her victim. All of which was discussed and fully referenced in our original video, the very same one to which Ollie is commenting. Which tells me that either A, Ollie lied about watching it, or B, lied about its contents. One way or another, they're nothing but a liar, as is the norm for gender-critical fascists. Once you turn fascist, reality loses all meaning. And speaking of fascism, we have this comment by Destinata CJ, posted this time to our video, female model kicked out of bathroom for looking trans, which reads, quote, "Maybe if you absolutely worthless, good-for-nothing waste of human life, gender malcontents, left the country, such mistakes wouldn't happen. Take your worthless supporters in the performing arts and media. Need all of you as much as terminal cancer. Diversity benefits other people. The enemy." End quote. Emphasis added by them. Ignoring the clear dehumanization taking place here for a minute. What other people? What enemy? I have my suspicions, having studied the gender critical movement long enough to understand that when they're talking about some vague other, they almost always mean a shadowy cabal of Jewish people supposedly pulling the strings in the background. That's how we wind up with a former congresswoman tweeting out visuals just last month which contain text asserting that, quote, "Magnus Hirschfeld, a Jewish sexologist in Weimar, Germany, is considered the pioneer of transgenderism. He created the Institute of Sexual Research, where he performed the first ever sex change surgery. Since then, transgenderism has exploded in popularity. Here's who is leading the push." End quote. Surrounded by a series of photos of various people, each one of which has had a blue star David stamped over them, and a couple of articles trying to link trans people to Judaism. A graphic which is almost identical to the one found inside the terrorist manifesto of the Buffalo shooter. Both of which are implying that trans people are some sort of Jewish conspiracy, which is actual Nazi rhetoric taken straight from Nazi Germany. All of which certainly puts the rampant dehumanization, calling trans people worthless and a waste of human life, before comparing our existence to cancer, in a rather terrifying context. That this is someone who would absolutely murder every single one of us if given the chance, which is exactly what gender critical fascism is striding for. Though this bigoted freak isn't alone, as in this comment by Toshidodo to our video J.K. Rowling is in the Epstein files, but it gets worse, which asserts that, quote, "Trans activist religion is still looking for another way to damage J.K. Rowling's reputation. You degenerates certainly have no shortage of imagination. Oddly enough, trans pedophiles don't shock you. Only J.K. Rowling makes you hateful." End quote. Oh, honey. You really couldn't have picked a worse target for your bullshit. Essence of Thought has done exposés on sexual predators from various communities, and yes, that includes trans people. Our biggest exposé of any predator, in fact, was our 7-part series on trans YouTuber Lily Orchard, consisting of more than 4 hours of solid evidence and archiving. We have also done an exposé of trans comic artist Sophie LaBelle, aka Assign Male Comics, who traced real-life images of infants to draw cub porn. So Toshidodo really fucked up here, once again projecting their refusal to hold predators within the gender critical community to account onto trans people. When, no, we are simply better than you bigoted freaks. Unlike you lot, we actually have some basic fucking humanity. With that noted, I also need to point out the Nazi dog whistle degenerate, a term which presents trans people as a form of social decay, a core component of Nazi ideologies which assert that violent ultranationalism is the only way for society to be reborn from such a decay and thus saved. This is why the Nazis were the Third Reich, the third golden empire in German history, and the Italian fascists of Mussolini viewed themselves to be the new Romans. This term only exists to promote Nazi ideology. Up next, we have this comment by Heidi the Sausage, once again to our video, Female Model Kicked Out of Bathroom for Looking Trans, which asserts, quote, "This is cope. This does not happen. You're just creating more animosity and stress for women. You're being misogynistic, something only women experience. Women who have cancer, who have their breasts removed, wear padded bras until they can have reconstructive surgery. It's disturbing you even mention this. 6.5 is huge, even for a guy. Average height for a woman is 5'5". Average height for a man is 5'10". Plus size models get grief all the time. From males, not us." End quote. Before Heidi breaks down into a projected screed which contains absolutely nothing of substance, not even a sign to debunk. It's just pure, verbal diarrhea. Starting with the first paragraph, "Thank you for accidentally affirming me as a woman, since, spoiler, I face a lot of misogyny in my day-to-day life. I suffer everything from my points being dismissed out of hand, any emotional display, no matter how valid, being used to paint me as irrational, not to mention never-ending sexual harassment, because I'm a woman. And I know, since I remember what it was like when I was still closeted. As for the assertion that this does not happen, it did happen. That's why we're reporting on it with sources. That's why we've reported on this very same phenomenon multiple times since 2016, a fact that was also evidenced in that video. So this is just straight up gaslighting, straight up asserting that we're delusional for sticking with the evidence and discussing what said cases tell us about the harmful nature of the gender critical movement. And they know this. We see it in the facts that they bring up breast cancer survivors who have been targeted inside women's bathrooms following the UK's anti-trans Supreme Court ruling, as covered by us here and referenced in that video. So they are aware that this has happened multiple times as they continue to lie, asserting it never has. Yet even more telling is their response, namely how they assert with certainty that every person to suffer breast cancer and receive a mastectomy wears padded bras until they can have reconstructive surgery. Except that simply isn't true. This assertion erases the complexity of emotion surrounding a mastectomy, how the practice of donning a padded bra can actually exacerbate feelings of body dysmorphia, particularly in the period immediately after, so not all people who receive said life-saving surgery do so. And yet, Heidi words things in such a way that any woman who listens to their own psychological needs over the gender demands of society is to blame for the violence and abuse Heidi and her peers have greenlit against any woman, cis or trans, who doesn't meet fascism's horrific standards on femininity. As for it being creepy that I mentioned said cases, a clear attempt to tap into trans misogyny, by the way, I mention them because the victims of your misogynistic hate movement have come forward about the violence you inflict upon them in search of support. You're not just targeting me here, you're trying to silence women or gender-based violence, specifically breast cancer survivors, because their existence, their struggles, are an inconvenience to you. And this is a theme that continues on to the final paragraph we read out, with Heidi trying to excuse the violence against Charlie Mill, the titular model in the video, on the basis of her height, not realizing or caring that no woman, no matter her height or assigned gender, should be abused for simply trying to use the bathroom. So long as they wash their hands afterwards, let them do their business in peace. Of course, Heidi finishes up by once again denying that this ever happens, in spite of the fact that this is a documented phenomenon. Hell, we even have a case of a member of the gender critical movement with alopecia being abused for running in a women's event and for using the women's bathroom, receiving an absolute outpouring of support from both the trans and intersex communities, only for her to come forward and beg her fellow anti-trans bigots to stop, explicitly stating that she agrees with their bigoted stance. So not only do anti-trans bigots know this is carried out by their members, some of them have even been made to suffer for it. Because, contrary to what the first comment pretended earlier, they cannot always tell. Hell, they rarely can. And yet, they still assert that we're the ones in denial of reality because we stand with a scientific consensus, all whilst they deny the very evidence before their eyes. But that's just gender-critical fascism in a nutshell. All projection, zero substance. So that's all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this new format. Do drop a comment to let me know if you'd like to see more videos like these. It certainly was cathartic for me. And if you'd like to help us continue our work, please consider becoming one of wonderful patrons who make our work possible. You can also make a one-time donation via PayPal or Super Thanks on YouTube. On that note, we'd just like to thank the following people: Matthew Kovac, Flynn, Loombat, Boea, Deborah Goldsmith, Higgins the Seagull, Jackie Sins, Mix Alba, and Peter Cole. And with that, take care and I'll catch you next time.